My wife suggested an open relationship to make our bond stronger, so I went scorched earth. My wife, 28 female, and I, 30 male, have been happily married for 3 years. I thought we were perfectly fine and in love, but a few days ago she dropped a bombshell on me. She confessed to having an affair, saying she still loves me but wants us to be in an open relationship. I was shattered and asked her to leave so I could process this. Fast forward to this morning, I got a visit from her parents, my in-laws. I've always had a good relationship with them and hoped they would back me up and help convince my wife that this wasn't fair to our marriage. Boy, was I in for a surprise. Her dad, a man I've always respected, started the conversation. He confessed to me that their marriage had been saved by agreeing to the same terms my wife was suggesting. They had entered into an open relationship years ago, and he said it had actually made their bond stronger. He told me that he wanted the same for us, and that accepting this would be a sign of love and maturity. I was dumbfounded, still trying to process this when her mother chimed in, and her words, they were just brutal. She outright told me that I wasn't satisfying her daughter's needs and that I was inadequate. She said I was being selfish and unloving by refusing to accept the new arrangement. Guys, I felt emasculated, betrayed, and confused. This isn't what I signed up for when I said I do. I love my wife, but I can't just blindly accept infidelity. This isn't a lifestyle that I want, and it feels like an unfair and sudden burden that's been thrust on me. I feel like my world has been turned upside down, and I'm being asked to celebrate it as if it's some great epiphany. Please, Reddit, any advice would be much appreciated. How do I handle the situation? Do I agree to try this open relationship to save my marriage, or should I stick to my guns and risk the possibility of ending my marriage? Or is there any other way to resolve this issue? TLDR, my wife cheated and wants an open relationship. My in-laws support her and even encourage me to accept it. My mother-in-law outright says I'm inadequate. I'm confused, hurt, and don't know what to do. Please, advice needed. Update, hey Reddit. Brace yourselves for another unexpected twist. It involves my mother, and it's not pretty. Today, I got a surprise visit from my mother, accompanied by my mother-in-law. They walked in, and I could feel an ominous atmosphere settle. My mother, usually a jovial and loving woman, had a stern expression. Son, she began, her tone firm yet gentle, we've been discussing your situation. Yeah, I've noticed, I replied, crossing my arms. What's your take, Mom? She shared a glance with my mother-in-law, then sighed. I believe it might be best if you considered the arrangement your wife is suggesting. I was stunned. You're on their side? Why? Well, she paused. I've always been concerned that maybe you wouldn't be able to satisfy your wife due to your physical inadequacy. My mouth fell open. Here was my mother, the woman who raised me, echoing my mother-in-law's cruel words. I felt a rush of betrayal, sadness, and embarrassment. I asked them both to leave, needing some time alone. Feeling like my world was spinning, I called my father. We weren't the closest, but he'd always been straightforward and honest with me. I quickly explained the situation. Jesus, he grunted over the phone. Your mother said that? I can't believe it. Actually, I can. His words took me by surprise. What do you mean, Dad? I'm not shocked she's supporting this. Your mother. She wasn't the most faithful wife herself. It's a big part of why we got divorced when I moved out. The revelations didn't stop. I felt like I was in a terrible dream. We need to talk, son, he continued. Let's get together, meet with a lawyer, and figure out how to handle this. So that's the next step. My dad and I are scheduled to meet with a lawyer. I'm scared, hurt, and utterly confused. I'll update you after we've met with the lawyer. As always, any advice is welcomed. Update 2. Hello again, Reddit. Your support through all of this has been genuinely invaluable, and I want to keep you updated. As I mentioned in my previous post, my father and I plan to meet with a lawyer to discuss the situation. We had the meeting today, and here's what went down. I won't lie, walking into the law office felt overwhelming, but having my father beside me was a comfort. We explained everything to the lawyer, from my wife's desire for an open marriage to the insensitivity of my in-laws, and even my own mother's hurtful words. The lawyer, a composed and stern woman, listened attentively. She explained that while the legal landscape around open marriages was complex, there were certain things I needed to be clear about. Firstly, she emphasized that my consent was critical. Regardless of what anyone else says, you have the right to decide what you are comfortable with in your relationship, she stated firmly. Secondly, she made it clear that if we decided to divorce, my wife's infidelity could impact the outcome depending on our state laws. She also touched on asset division, alimony, and how any future infidelity could potentially affect these things. Finally, she suggested we consider couples therapy before making any drastic decisions. This was not legal, but a personal suggestion. She explained that therapy could provide a safe and mediated space for my wife and me to express our feelings and thoughts, and perhaps help us find a resolution. However, I'm afraid it's far too late for couples therapy. I spoke with my wife an hour ago over the phone, and her response was, "Well, exactly what you'd expect. Therapy won't change anything," she said coldly. "I love you, but this is non-negotiable for me. You either accept it or it happens without your approval." I was dumbstruck. The woman I had loved and married was standing in front of me, giving me an ultimatum that shook me to my core. In that moment, I felt something in me snap. With a heavy heart, I asked her for a divorce. To that, she just smirked and said, "I'm not signing any divorce papers." We said for better or for worse, remember? I couldn't bear it any longer. I packed a bag and left our home, feeling more lost than I ever have in my life. I decided to move in temporarily with my father. The next twist in the saga, my mother showed up at my father's doorstep, berating him for supporting me and encouraging my stubbornness. She insisted that I should be more understanding and flexible in my marriage. That was the final straw. My patience and goodwill, already hanging by a thread, snapped completely. I confronted her and called her out for her hypocrisy and infidelity. "You're nothing but a cheating liar," I spat out, the pent-up anger and betrayal pouring out. "You have no right to preach about understanding and flexibility." She left in a huff, clearly shaken. I've never spoken to her like that before, but in that moment, it felt justified. So here I am, living with my dad, unsure of my next step. My wife is refusing to divorce. My mother is unsupportive, and my world has been turned upside down. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight for my dignity, for my rights, and for my peace of mind. I'll update you as things progress. In the meantime, any advice or words of encouragement would be much appreciated. Also, to the people saying my post is fake or some kind of creative writing project, thank you for your opinions, but I'm not that creative. If I was, I doubt my wife would be cheating on me. Opie's response, "I'm sincerely sorry to hear about the challenging circumstances you're dealing with. Finding out your spouse has been unfaithful is heartbreaking, but it's even more upsetting when your own in-laws support an open relationship rather than helping you through this trying time. Although it's obvious that you still love your wife and are willing to work on your relationship, it is crucial to put your own interests and morals before those of your spouse. Your wife's confession and desire for an open relationship have every right to leave you feeling hurt, betrayed, and perplexed. When you exchanged vows, you did not agree to this. Your in-laws' involvement, especially their hurtful remarks, only intensifies the suffering and confusion. Nobody has a right to make you feel inferior or to belittle you. It's important to keep in mind that their viewpoint might be influenced by their own experiences. But that doesn't mean you have to agree with them or abandon your own principles. Getting professional assistance, such as through couples therapy, can be a helpful first step in gaining understanding and considering different options. Therapy helps you and your wife communicate by giving you a safe place to express your thoughts, worries, and desires. Nevertheless, I recognize that you've had enough and have decided to file for divorce. The complexity of your situation is further heightened by having to deal with your mother's actions and her own history of adultery. Setting boundaries and protecting your emotional well-being are crucial, especially when dealing with unsupportive relatives. Although confronting her to express your feelings and correct the record may have been necessary, keep in mind that your needs should come first at all times. It's crucial to rely on the support of reliable friends, family, and even online communities like Reddit as you navigate through this challenging chapter in your life. Always keep in mind that you have the right to seek out happiness, respect, and satisfying relationships. Focus on reestablishing your life on your own terms while remaining steadfast. Now, let's get some other community thoughts, Monkey says. How do you handle it? She cheated. You contact a lawyer first thing and do everything you can to get evidence, audio recordings discussing the affair if possible. If you're in an at-fault state, this helps make sure you don't get taken to the cleaners if you're in the US Open relationships post-cheating, and being forced on the other party always end in dragging out the inevitable destruction of the marriage. The relationship is done. I'm sorry, but it's done. She disrespected you in your marriage and has demonstrated that you don't mean nearly as much to her as she does to you. The person you have now is not your wife any longer. This is someone else. That person you fell in love with and married no longer exists. White Raccoon adds on, also Opie, her parents can go kick rocks. The last thing I would tolerate is third-party people telling me what I should be feeling or setting the terms of what I want in a relationship. Opie, just walk away. The level of toxicity is going to be too much with her parents justifying everything she has done. Don't bother with closure because you're not going to get it. But what you will get is a ridiculous amount of gaslighting. Cut all contact and start thinking about how you can heal. 2 cents worth for you wants to say, and further to my garbled comment. Your mother-in-law had the audacity to say her daughter's needs weren't being met because you were inadequate and, to top it off, called you selfish and unloving. What about your needs, especially your need for monogamy? You might love her and respect the marriage vows, but she doesn't, and neither do your in-laws. Irregular Bastard weighs in on the conversation. Absolutely not. No self-respecting man stays with a cheating woman and gets pushed into an open relationship. Her dad was weak, and his daughter is just like her mother. Don't be weak like him. If you stay with her, you're giving her permission to get plowed by as many guys as she wants, all while you stay at home, the dutiful, disposable cuckold. Go to a divorce attorney and discuss your options. Lastly, Reverse Weasel wants to say this. Get rid of her, period. And why the F does your mother-in-law or mom know about your dick? This crap is crossing all kinds of boundaries. You need to understand that some families exist where these boundaries being crossed wouldn't enter their brains even for a second. If you need therapy, it would be with your mother. Your wife and her family will be a distant memory soon enough. But the fact your mom didn't stick up for you is baffling. Thank God you have your dad, man. I guarantee you've been dealing with BS like this your whole life. You seem like a good dude, but it has to end now. By the grace of the gods, take the time to control and show these a-holes who you really are, someone who doesn't deal with morons. On to the next adventure. Am I the jerk for choosing loyalty to my sister-in-law over my cheating brother? Me, 17 female, brother, 29 male, sister-in-law, 29 female. My brother Jake, fake name, and sister-in-law Ashley, fake name, have been together since they were 15. They got married when they were 20 and have 3 kids together. Ashley and I have always been close. She's like the big sister I never had. My whole family loves and adores her, and she and Jake always seem to have the perfect relationship. A couple of weeks ago, Jake went on a trip with some friends for the weekend because it was one of their birthdays. Ashley didn't go and stayed home with the kids. However, during the trip, Jake only checked in with Ashley once, which was when he arrived at the destination, and never again after that. It was unusual because he's always on his phone and told Ashley and my family that he would check in. Ashley decided to call one of Jake's friends to see if something had happened, but when his friend answered, he told Ashley that there was no trip, and he had no idea where my brother was. After that, we told Ashley to come and stay with us for the rest of the weekend as she was a bit distraught. My brother eventually came home on Monday and said that he had lost his phone, which was absolute BS, and we all knew it. Before he returned, we asked Ashley what she wanted to do with what she knew. She told us not to bring it up with Jake and not to jump to conclusions and that she would handle it. After my brother arrived, he and Ashley headed back to their house. A few days later, my brother messaged my mom to see if he could stay at ours for a bit, but he didn't say why. Not too long after, Ashley messaged us and told us that she confronted him about the trip and how she knew it didn't exist. He kept denying it and said that she was just being crazy and that he had just lost his phone. He eventually confessed that he was at a CO worker's house and that he had been hooking up with her for a few months. His excuse was that Ashley and he hardly had sex anymore, so he needed to find someone to fulfill his needs. Ashley ended up kicking him out and they decided to get a divorce. My brother ended up moving in with us until he finds a place of his own and until the divorce is finalized. I haven't spoken to him since he moved in and don't plan to. All I can do is look at him in disgust. I have so much hatred towards him after what he'd done to Ashley. My parents are disappointed in him but still love him because he is their son. They told me to forgive him because he is my brother, but I just can't. I have started going to Ashley's every day after school to help with the kids and take some stress off her. My brother found out about this and is mad at me for going over there. He told me to cut her off since they're not together anymore and said she is no longer a part of our family. So there's no need for me to go see or speak to her. Just because you effed up your relationship with her doesn't mean I have to. I will always love her, and I will not be cutting her off. I told him that I will choose her over you if it comes down to that. After that argument, he has not spoken to me or even looked at me. Every time he sees me, he walks the other way. My parents have told me to apologize and fix things with him, but I don't think that will ever happen. My other brothers have sided with him and all think I'm a piece of crap for choosing Ashley over my brother. Deep down, I still love my brother and don't want to lose him, but what he did is unforgivable to me. Let's get a couple of community reactions. Leanna Van says, "Your brother is a dick. The rest of your family is enabling his bad behavior. Maybe when Ashley takes away the grandkids, they might change their tune. You are being a decent human being." What do I do now, damn it, chimes in. Not the a-hole. She's been in your life since you were, what, 3 years old? I think she's just as much your sibling as he is at this point. Update April 21st, 2023. Firstly, I just wanted to answer a common question I keep getting. Is my brother still in contact with his kids? No, he is not. He's not seen or spoken to them since he was kicked out, his own choice. Okay, so I have not spoken to my brother since our argument. He refuses to talk to me as well as acknowledge me. My parents still insist that I apologize and make things right with him. I have told them I would try to make things right, but I will not be apologizing. However, my brother does not want to hear anything I say. I have spoken with my parents about everything and how I feel. It was pointless. They don't even try to understand my side of things. It's just all about my brother to them. Ashley and the kids are doing great. Her family has come down to support her and help out. I also still go over there whenever I can. My parents have not seen the kids, or spoken to them either. Ashley has made it clear that they can visit anytime they like, but because my brother doesn't want us to have anything to do with her, they refuse to go over. Ashley plans to gain full custody of the kids, to which my brother has agreed. This was the only time they have spoken to each other since they split up. Ashley is also planning to move closer to her parents, which I'm sad about but also happy for her and the kids. They deserve to be happy and away from all this toxicity. I don't know if my brother and I will ever fix our relationship, but I honestly don't care anymore. I'm planning to go no contact with him once he leaves. There's not much more to say. My brother is still behaving like a child, and my parents and brothers still stand beside him. I will update if anything changes. Thank you to everyone for the kind words and advice. This concluded as my sister-in-law is divorcing and moving away with the kids, and my brother has agreed to give her full custody. Let's get a couple of quick comments from the community. Pray for Mojo 2020 says, "How are people okay with their children abandoning their own children? Opie's parents are just as awful as her brother. I wish she could go live with Ashley and the kids." Less human than NPC has to say. OP's parents don't even want to see their grandchildren because OP's brother doesn't want to be in contact with them. I can smell who the golden child is.